I swear, man, for some reason, to this day, people think that the next map is not Nocturne. It's not Nocturne Toad. People think that the next map is Transit. To this day, they think Treyarch is hiding. The game has been revealed, everybody. It's Nocturne Toad. Okay? Get it through your mind. And not only is it 100% confirmed, we're going to watch this video today, the Zombies Retrospective Transit episode, the unseen episode on this channel, that is going to fully show you why Transit is not even a good memory in memes. There's been so much memes about this map that people actually think that they kind of sort of like it again. Let's watch this, because Pat has titled this The Destruction of Transit, and by golly, it better be a destruction, because this map is garbage.
Dropped November 12th of 2012, and with it, the Zombies community hit a critical peak in hype levels. This was the map fans had been waiting over 1 year for, and coming off the momentum of a wildly successful marketing campaign, it was clear that this was Treyarch's best work to date. This map was huge and expansive, with new features like buildables and mysterious permaperks. Following the missile drops of Moon, there were new characters led by Richtofen and Maxis in a post-apocalyptic world. And above all, there was the bus, a new and innovative way to play and get around the map.
Oh no.
Plain and simple, Transit was adored by the community on launch. But were fans really seeing the map for what it was?
No.
Or were we just engrossed by its sheer size that the problems couldn't yet be seen? Because Transit was and still is a horribly flawed map. And while at first glance it was loved, after pouring hours into it, some people eventually started to spot.
What was that image? What was this?
After pouring hours into it,
oh, it's from the cutscene. I see. I was so confused. I was like, was that a dragon?
Out of plain sight, hidden by fog, would eventually be put to light when YouTubers began pointing out the map's flaws. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Zombies Retrospective.
Destroy
Today,
Transit.
We're going to be breaking down the iconic map Transit, and also doing a rewrite of how this map could have been better. Now we're getting really close to
I'm excited for that.
So please help the channel out and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to watch all the way to the end, where we will reveal Transit's true size in Nocturne Toad.
Everybody, without cheating, if you've already seen this, if you know the answer, don't put it in the comments. Without cheating, I want everybody to put their guesses in the comments on how many Nocturne Toads this map is going to be. Transit, by far and large, the largest zombie map. You can literally see Nocturne Toad in the map. Just real quick, because I could really make a good guess here, but real quick, I'm gonna say it's about 170 NDUs. 170. That's real quick, just kind of a guess almost, because I'm not even gonna think about it, because I don't want to stall too long, because everyone wants to watch the video. I'm gonna guess 175 NDUs.
So let's get into it.
Maybe even more than that, though.
The feature of Transit is so obnoxious, so domineering, that it makes its presence known to you before you even spawn into
the spawn was cool. I like the spawn on Transit.
The Transit bus is the map's standout feature.
Yes.
Transit is huge, with danger lurking in the fog, and the bus is intended to be your salvation.
Yeah.
The entire purpose, the entire essence of Transit is supposed to revolve around this bus. But the problem that will arise is that because the bus defines the player's entire experience, any flaw of the system becomes put under a microscopic lens.
Yeah.
And so because of this, it boggles my mind to see just how poorly this cornerstone feature was implemented.
Bro, it's literally like the problem with Transit is its expansiveness, but the solution they have is the bus, right? If you think about the bus, it's supposed to be the thing that takes you from town to town. The problem is, if someone dies, someone gets separated, if someone goes down, that's it. Like, you're not seeing that. You always know, if the bus leaves your friend and they don't hop on as the bus is leaving, you are not seeing that friend for another 45 minutes to an hour on Transit. It takes so long, and it's only once you start learning the shortcuts, start learning the fog layout, how to traverse, you get Galvan Knuckles, something like that. Even then, like, you just don't see anyone for the rest of the game, and it's so bad.
And it's that the player is given practically zero control over the use of it. You are subjected to play the map as the game sees fit. And this issue only becomes all too apparent by the second location, the diner. The bus leaves roughly every 1.5 minutes.
What's wrong with diner,
you have
though?
90 seconds for you and your team to hit the box, build the shield, and open the shed to handle the bus buildables. Not a whole lot of time, is there? The game forces you to advance too quickly without making enough progress, and this seemingly small issue will slam head-on into
is such a good point, Pat. Such a good
problem of transit, exploding into a horrible gas fire. But while we're on the topic of the diner, why don't we talk about that shield right now? So Transit conceived buildables. It added one of the greatest features to ever come into modern zombies, and also succeeded in making them absolutely useless. From the second location, you are forced to choose between the shield, a great item which provides additional defense on a map where you often can't afford to down, or your turbine, which is needed for doing pretty much anything on the map.
Yeah.
Now, while this trade-off
no one
sucks,
builds the shields,
you at least won't have to worry about any other trade-offs because every other buildable is garbage. And not only are they bad, but they also require the use of, you guessed it, a turbine. So the turret and power trap are completely useless.
Bro.
But I mean, hey,
so
it's
bad.
not like
It's
you're
a
gonna have
joke
time
of
to
a
build
system.
these things anyways, right? Because getting back to our green run path, the bus is about to leave and you're going to be taken to the farm. The farm has nothing. Well, in fairness, there is the fridge locker here where you can store a weapon from a past game.
Bro, the only thing that makes these maps manageable, or really the other ones are fine, but the only thing that makes Transit manageable is the locker system and the bank system. Honestly, if you don't have what you need stored in those lockers or those banks, you're just going to have a bad time on the map. That's the long and short of it. Everybody likes this map because it's nostalgia. You have been so blinded by nostalgia if you think this map is good that it's unbelievable.
Interchangeably through Die Rise or Buried,
unbelievable.
And take it out in future ones. It's actually really cool. But unless you plan on taking out a gun, there is nothing else to do here. The buildable is useless, and Double Tap practically can't be bought unless you're a psycho and want to leave your turbine next to it, which, by the way, don't, because the bus is leaving again. So anyway, with that place
this
already
really
forgotten,
is the perfect way to say Transit, like to show how Transit is.
Another super exciting place that definitely is going to have use outside of this first visit. So it takes about 90 seconds to go through the power station, build the switch, turn on the power, finish the Avogadro cutscene, and make it back outside. Ironically, the bus leaves in just that amount of time, so there's about a 50-50 shot that that son of a bitch will leave you behind.
And there it goes.
So you'll once again have practically no time to get any other buildable items, and now you gotta hike through the fog. Did I mention denizens exist? So,
nope,
assuming your sanity is still intact, you're now at the final stop, the town, which in theory should be the best place. It's got Jug, Stamina, and Pack-a-Punch, yet for some inconceivable reason, there isn't a single weapon here. What?
Wait, is there not?
I think the final stopping point would be the most significant, but with no guns, this place becomes nothing more than a...
Wait! I mean, obviously, town is different. I think there's some wall buys on town. There's not a single wall buy in this area. And I don't even think the box spawns here, like, most of the games. What?
Stopping through
That's
point.
insane.
And so it's at this critical moment where Transit goes from walking a precarious line of inconveniences to I now want to drink paint thinner. The first loop around Transit is at least progressive and structured. You're moving forward, hitting the box, getting power on, but because you now have choices, the dam starts to burst open. So basically, the bus is
now
leaving
you're just
in
stuck
90
here.
seconds. Do you want to stay and save up for Jug, knowing full well you will be left behind to slowly run out of ammo, hop back on to do a whole other loop, or say screw it and break the entire game with the bank. Honestly, at this point, whatever
Dude,
you choose to
oh
do,
my
it's
God.
going to be tedious. You can wait 7 minutes for the bus to come back or walk on foot to the box, whatever, it's going to be tedious. Also, I mentioned
So
that
bad.
denizens still exist, right? Walking through the fog makes for an experience about as fun as scratching out your eyeball, because that's exactly what it is. Once you get jugged, denizens have no negative repercussions outside of being annoying.
Yeah.
Dealing with them is frustrating, but it's still faster than waiting for the bus. And so because of this, a lot of players will put up with them to save time. And so it's at this point, once you finish your loop, that the map basically becomes a walking simulator. But nowhere
Yeah,
is
it's not
this
even that
scene
dangerous in
more
the fog,
than
it's
with
just
the
annoying.
Absolute pinnacle of poorly thought out features. Perhaps
Is it the RNG
worst
light?
system to ever grace COD Zombies is Tranzit's Pack-a-Punch. We all
Yes.
remember this, right?
Oh my gosh.
How did this get approved? To Pack-a-Punch, you must lay down a turbine at the door of the power plant
my
to be
gosh.
given a chance that a zombie won't respawn down there and break it. From here, you must run back to the town and head down into the secret bunker. But if you happen to have got rid of your turbine or a zombie broke it, you have to travel all the way back to Bus Depot and then back to power to once again finally arrive at the town, all while you perpetually bleed from the eyeballs. And again, this is for another chance to open up Pack-a-Punch. It's not
it's so
guaranteed.
bad.
No, and the
Miss a
only
Nate, you're
thing
done.
worse than that is that every single time you wish to Pack-a-Punch again, you have to repeat that process.
Oh.
It's not.
People say they miss the old days, man, where everything was simple. It ain't simple, dog. Do you see the process to Pack-a-Punch? Do you see the process to Pack-a-Punch in this map? So horribly bad.
A one-time
Absolutely just blows my mind. Blows my mind that they would have thought this was a good idea. And even then, you're not going to have points for it. What's even the point? You know what I mean?
deal every single time. Pack-a-Punch takes 10 minutes. But it's still worse than that. Because you know that wonder weapon they teased in the trailer, right?
Boy.
Well, joke's on you
Oh,
because
boy.
it's not actually even a wonder weapon. So Tranzit's power weapon, also known as the jet gun, is about as effective for the average player as it is fun to craft. There are 4 pieces for this buildable. One located in the M16 tunnel, which, wait, by the way, why does the tunnel have a wall weapon, yet the town doesn't? But anyway, they're located at the tunnel, power, knocked, and cabin in the woods. Now, while this gets easier with more
so
players,
bad.
even with an effective group of 4,
And this is just accentuated by the buildable problem, because you can only hold one part at a time, and if you pick up a part, you drop it. If you down, you drop the part. You can literally just down in the fog, lose your part, forget to pick it up. You'll never find it for the rest of the game. Boom. No jet gun for the rest of the game. Boom. No buildables. Like,
it is
trash.
incredibly tedious because you can only pick up one item at a time. It takes 10 to 30 minutes to craft. And guess what, right? You go through all of this grand process for this jet engine weapon, all to realize that 1, it's not that good, and 2, it can break. It can f***ing break. And if that happens, you have to take every individual piece back to the table and make it again. The jet gun is just an insult to injury at this point and serves as the final.
It's almost like they tried to make this map bad, which is why it just blows my mind so much when people say they like Transit. Liking Town is fine. I think the Town mini map game mode, whatever you want to call it, Town Survival is super fun. I will give you that. I really like Town Survival. But in terms of Transit itself,
nail in the coffin
what a
as to why
joke,
this map
man.
is
What a
disgusting
joke of a map.
Flawed. So hopefully this didn't give you too many flashbacks, but the purpose of this rant was to highlight the mortal sin of Transit. There are all these
Everything
little
is
issues
tedious.
that are
There's
actually
nothing that
different
flows
facets of
in
the
this map.
same thing, and that is
There it is. Hey, like I said at the beginning, You're all right. Everyone who still thinks it's Transit remake, you're all right. See? There it is. There's the next map. Throw some graffiti on the walls. We did it, everyone.
Transit probably has 10 times more downtime than any other zombies map, and this is obviously its biggest weakness. The thing,
Like Die Rise has some downtime, but it's usually just waiting on elevators, and that's not like the worst thing in the world. It's not on like a 10-minute loop. It's on like a 2 to 3 minute loop, you know what I mean? And even then, that you're not going to be waiting 2 to 3 minutes every time. Transit, you will literally wait 10 minutes if you miss the bus.
The thing that is so frustrating is that you can do everything on this map easily. Like if you have 20k points, you can hit the box, get 4 perks, pack a punch, craft the jet gun, beat the Easter egg, and hit round 100 all in one round. Whether it's constantly relying on the bus or walking through Eye Gouge Town, you can do everything, but it will take an hour. And this downtime isn't even complicated steps or puzzles. It's in fact quite literally doing nothing. Holding square on a bus or spamming knife walking through cornfields. Transit takes the zombies formula, and while it adds some things to it, mostly just stretches things out with long periods
of
mind-numbing nothingness. And while there are some very...
Wait, was that what a purposely like Adam death montage? That was great.
Anything that is cool is dwarfed by the constant pauses in action and progress. And so, if you can believe it, Transit is still a really bad map. But we're not quite done yet there.
Oh, lay into
here,
it,
guys,
Pat.
what I want to do is a rewrite. I would agree with Tim's map analysis that Transit actually had the most potential of any zombies map. And with Treyarch's next COD on the way, there are tons of
potential just because they made it big. I think just the only potential Transit has is it's big. Like, if you make a big map, you can do a lot of things. That's a lot of potential. But in order to have that work correctly, one thing I really like, I played a custom map, and I played it like 2 or 3 times at this point. It's called Blood Run, and it basically kind of rewrites Transit. It has the bus, but it has teleporter systems that you can open up. It has a full Easter egg. It has the AVOGADRO, everything like that. I really actually like that version a lot more, but even when you rewrite it, its underlying problems of having to rely on RNG teleporters, like sending you to, maybe you want to be there, maybe you don't, like it's just too big. Getting the setup is still forever. Big maps like this that are not easy, I'd say Origins is almost the biggest you can go in terms of a zombie map. Even Origins has a lot of points where you're just running. I think as long as you have a system for transportation, the map will be fine. That is reliable and gets you to where you want to go. You should never have to be running for over 3 minutes to get to a destination in a zombies map. And Origins is on the cusp of that. If you run from one side to the other, but there is a teleportation system even once you get it set up. Like, you really, it just can't be a feature, you know what I mean?
Remake. And so because of that, I want to put out some ideas that I would love to see.
Of course, this was made whenever the remake was still a big theory.
Especially with the power of new consoles, a Transit remake could become a top-tier map. So the overall goal of this rewrite is to improve things while not changing so much that the map wouldn't feel like Transit anymore. Transit actually does expansiveness and chaos quite well, and I think it needs to stay true to that theme. It's just that these features come with the cost of excessive downtime. So the goal here is to keep that expansiveness and chaos, but improve flow. So I have a few small changes to cover before we get into anything major. First up is the addition of a new perk that reduces fire and exploding zombie damage while also deterring denizens. Now, that to me kind of sounds like PhD, but as we know, the game devs hate PhD. So let's add a new perk that is lava-themed, giving you fire resistance and also makes you hot to the touch. So when denizens get close to try to jump on you, they back off because you're just too hot. You could call it Lava Lemonade or Magma Martini. Sounds cool. Now second,
I love
make it so these streetlight teleporters aren't random. I appreciate that these things exist, but if they would take you to set places, it would be
maybe you could even like select a location.
Third, the map just needs to be more filled out. What I mean is just more content. Add things to make the farm more interesting.
Yeah, because that's one thing. It's like, aside from the buildable parts, there's so much area in this map that is just useless. It's just not, there's no reason, you know what I mean? You can go to the cornfields, explore the cornfields, find Nocturne Totem, and you get 1 buildable part for doing that. And then you can find the big tower, but the tower is like used for an Easter egg step, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing.
Why not
There's
make
nothing
Noct a
hidden.
legitimate training spot, complete with wall weapons and the cabinet? Make the cabin in the woods have a door that, when closed, turns it into a tiny box defense map. There's just a lot of spots that don't really serve a purpose, but still have potential to be a whole lot more. And lastly, I would actually make Avogadro a legitimate boss fight. As a concept, he's an interesting boss, but fighting him is very boring. Make it so that he is the last step in the Easter egg. The tower is charged, and this accidentally beefs him up or something weird, and you're teleported to a foggy area and then have to fight him. That
Kill the avocado.
So low efforts and already miles ahead better than what he...
I don't think he mentioned it, but he would probably 100% agree. I think the new buildable system, obviously, like being able to pick up everything and hold multiple things would be huge.
And the Easter egg
absolutely huge
now. So just a few little housekeeping things that I would want to change. But the first major change is we are going to fix the bus. The biggest issue with the transit bus is that it hurts natural flow, making progression feel rushed and
you can call it to a location and pick where it goes.
You speed on through at a breakneck pace to the town, only to have to go all the way back around again to do everything that you originally wanted to do. So to fix this, I propose a new item called the Bus Pass, which you can buy right in the bus depot. The Bus Pass would allow you to stop the bus whenever you wanted and would work as a loadable, refillable card. The card could be filled up to 20 total uses, with each use costing 250 points. Every use would stop the bus for 1 additional minute on top of its determined path. And also, every major location would have a bus stop light pole, which allows players to call the bus, making it immediately depart and head straight to the desired location.
Oh, yeah.
So just like the Origins tank.
That would be
This
sick.
would help to make things flow better in the late game when points don't matter, but also force the player to make interesting trade-offs in the early game. Overall, some
like
sort
time
of
for points,
limited
yeah.
control over the bus is needed, and if I could make just one change to the map, it would be this. Now, one of the biggest complaints I see about
that would be
Tranzit
so
is
cool. That's a
fog,
great idea.
But honestly, I think it needs to stay. The in-between areas only...
That you just have to add interesting things to the fog. There needs to be a way to deal with the denizens. The denizens should leave you alone after a certain point, maybe getting that perk like Pat said. There just needs to be interesting things in the fog. There needs to be a reason to go into the fog other than to just walk to the next town. You know what I mean? There needs to be a point to going into the fog, and there needs to be counters to just getting mauled by denizens the entire
to give
time.
the map a feeling of grandiosity. Removing fog would just open up a million easy training spots. So I would actually leave the fog alone. But with the new perk we added, denizens won't attack you anymore. This would deter you from walking in the early game still, but make later game travel a little bit less frustrating.
That was a cool transition from like the fog to the not fog.
In the fog. And I'm sure we could implement some sort of workaround where the teleporter system still works. Now, from here, let's talk about weapons. Tranzit needs to make weapons more accessible to help improve game flow. The town is in serious need of a buff, and adding a wall weapon or two would make it come to life. Also, let's put an AN94 wall buy on the top of the bus, which can only be accessed after you install the ladder.
That would be cool.
This would help with longevity and firepower in
that
those
would be
later
cool
rounds and add more reason to stay on the bus. But most importantly, I would like to propose mystery box changes. Spending 5 minutes on travel between box locations creates downtime, and I think
just
Tranzit
make a
would
mystery
benefit
box at
from
every location,
major
maybe?
location having a mystery box. But to keep the theme of chaos, how about making it so these mystery boxes have different odds? So Bus Depot, Farm, and Power would start with normal boxes with your standard chances. The 4th box would spawn in at Bus Depot with increased odds of bad weapons and would not produce any wonder weapons. And then the 5th box would spawn at Town with higher odds of giving you good weapons.
That's very
along
interesting.
With a few exclusives. Now,
maybe
teddy
you can
bears
pay
would
to
still
upgrade
exist,
them
and
too.
when hit, they would scramble the locations of the boxes. Again, keeping that theme of a bit of chaos. These weapon accessibility changes would continue to encourage players to move around, but just not make it a constant necessity. Now, our next changes are with buildables. Okay, first of all, we need to modernize the map so that you can carry multiple parts at once.
Yeah.
I also propose that the buildable carrying limit be raised to 2. This would give use to the turret and electric trap while also allowing for
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying like carry multiple parts, like you can only carry 2. I was very confused. He's basically saying you're able to carry the turbine and the like lawnmower trap at the same time. You know what I mean? Like you can have 2 of them, so you're not limited to just using the turbine only or just using the shield only. You can do the shield and the turbine, so you have a point. Or even just make the shield a normal thing, like every other game has it.
I think this would give buildables more room to shine.
Doesn't need to be a buildable.
Let's add a buildable repair system. When your crafted item breaks, instead of having to go back and get a new one, make it able to be picked back up and taken to any buildable table. From here, let's say you can spend 500 points and
dude, put Pat in charge of the Tranzit remake.
And lastly, while the jet gun isn't perfect, you certainly can't take it out. So we gotta make buffs. For a weapon that takes this long to get, I say remove its breakable feature, allow 4 players to get it, and give it an upgrade process that improves damage and cooldown.
Cooldown is the main thing it needs, man. Cooldown takes so long.
Just a few easy changes can both expand the gameplay and reduce a lot of downtime. But now, of course, you knew this was coming. The last major change that needs to happen.
Pack a punch!
And this is actually going to be our coolest change. So not only is the Pack-a-Punch process super lame, but Pack-a-Punch is in a really boring spot. Survival Town's placement of Pack-a-Punch is way cooler, and I think we should recreate that. So the changes I propose here are simple, but incredibly effective. When you arrive in the town, the Pack-a-Punch is sitting, barely visible, beneath the central lava. It's got Darius vibes, right? It's there, but not yet.
Get it? That would be sick.
Now, the Pack-a-Punch room can be opened the same way as always, sure, whatever. But once you get into it, instead of building it down there is one single item: the winch. This is an upgrade which you can add to the bus, and upon doing so, Ted drives over the lava, attaches the cable to the top of the Pack-a-Punch machine, and the bus drags it up and out to sit on top, just like town. Come on,
would be
how cool would that be?
Bro, put Pat in charge of a Tranzit remake. I'd say F it, dude. Like, you need to go one step farther with everything. Like, you can use the winch for that. Then later on, you can use the winch to drag a zombie behind the bus and keep an extra crawler and just not have to worry about it dying out in the fog somewhere. Give me a gun that sucks up the denizens and shoots out denizens at zombies. Take everything one step farther, dude. Take everything one step farther.
Such an iconic piece of
just change
that
it.
Needs to be capitalized on. Plus, I think this would serve to make people appreciate the bus more. And so that would be my final change. So, Tranzit is a horribly flawed map. There is really nothing that exists on paper that makes more mistakes.
I'm telling you, man, they literally tried to make a bad map.
But I think our changes would be enough to take it to a B or even A tier map. Now, as it is, I will also acknowledge that Tranzit isn't all bad. Playing with friends is random and chaotic, and after being used to an orderly Blondell sequence of maps, it can be nice to go back to something that doesn't actually have much structure. Nuketown exists as a small chaotic map, and Tranzit is its big version. It's a mess, but can actually be fun to play with friends every once in a while, and I would only call it
once every year.
Solo. It's not something I enjoy playing consistently, but it's an iconic map no matter how you spin it, and I am glad
it's good to play for a meme.
It's where I both started my YouTube career and launched it after my original top 5 worst maps rant. I owe a lot to Tranzit, and I genuinely want to see a...
Don't give in, Pat. You trashed the map the entire video. Don't you back up now and say, oh, but it has some redeeming features. No! Continue to trash the map. Continue to trash it.
Because it had potential to be one of the greatest maps of all time. My final rating for Tranzit is a 5.0 out of 10.
No!
D-tier.
Put it in F! Put it in F!
But
if the map...
There is one more metric I'm sure you've all been waiting for.
Oh boy, here we go.
We're starting a movement, ladies and gentlemen, the Noct measurement system. And it was actually really hard to measure Tranzit. Like, for example, do you count foggy areas or just the major locations?
Yeah, I count it all.
Doesn't matter, because we crunched the math and did it all. And once you run the numbers, it turns out the Transit actually has a pretty small total playable area. Bus depot, diner, farm, power, cabin, and Noct only actually weigh in at around 13 Nocturne total.
What?
But of course, there is a lot of in between. And so when we factor in all of the
No,
foggy
there's
areas,
no way.
we get a more realistic number. While most of these paths are quite narrow, there are a lot
175.
of them. And so the total accessible area of Transit weighs in at a much more respectable 36.
There's no way, dude. I don't think this map is accurate. Also, look, like, I think it's actually a lot more. For the first time ever, I am contradicting. I am contradicting the NDU measurements. There is no way it's this low. There is absolutely no way. You can fit, like, okay, let me just take a look here. The tunnel, 1, 2, 3. There's no way the tunnel weighs in at 4 NDUs. There's also, wait. Do NDUs count Nocturne Totems as the second floor and the first floor, or is it only just the surface area of the first floor? Because I was only counting the surface area of the first floor, not the second floor, in terms of like size, like width and everything. I don't know, man.
Totens. However, this metric still isn't quite accurate. Transit isn't 36 Nocturne Totens smushed together, it's very expansive. 36 is just the playable space. And so if we were able to calculate the entirety of Transit, it would give us the true sense of just how large it actually feels. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with the help of scientists and Elon Musk,
this is his final number.
Determined Transit's true size. And so while it may be a D tier map, it gets an S on the Nocturne Totem measurement system. Ladies and gentlemen, Green Run's Transit weighs in at 106 Nocturne Totens.
That is more along the lines of what I thought it would be. That is more along the lines of what I thought it would be. Still not quite it, but that he said, woo. That was a great video. Everyone, make sure you obviously go subscribe to Pat. We've got more coming out soon. This was an old one, but I wanted to see it just because I've still seen dummies in the comments, man. You dummies, man. You keep coming back. Make sure y'all subscribe to Pat. Subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. We're going to be kind of like alternating here. Every other day, we're going to be kind of doing a retrospective that we haven't watched. That's going to be for the next few days. We're going to be doing a retrospective and then a world record speedrun. Retrospective, world record speedrun. We're going to be kind of alternating. And then every other day, we're going to continue speedruns until we're done with like every single map that has a solo speedrun because they're so interesting to me. We're even going to watch BO4. I know. We're even going to watch the BO4 speedruns. Subscribe.